Hello, Whittier Wildcats. This is your art teacher, Jen Shepherd, coming to you with another art video. I'm so glad that I get to connect with you guys. I'm very excited to teach you how to draw. Today's lesson, I'm going to teach you how to draw a very simple iguana. Iguanas are really cool. I used to have one when I was a kid. His name was Zeppelin, and he got really big while I had him. He had a long, beautiful tail. I'm going to have several videos of how to draw iguanas, but this is probably one of the simplest ways. And so I'm going to show you step by step. All you need is a simple piece of paper and a pencil for this lesson. I am going to use a Sharpie because it's easier for you to see on the video. And so let's begin. Step one is to figure out which way your paper goes. And we're going to do our paper landscape or hot dog style, so we have lots of room for that beautiful iguana. So step one, we're going to draw the curve of the iguana's body. And boys and girls, you can pause the video, rewind, whatever you need to do if I'm going too fast. Right now I'm going to draw the shape of the head. Comes down to a point, and then it curves back almost all the way to where it began. Underneath, we're going to draw that flap of skin that they have. Kind of like a soft triangle. And then we're going to start drawing his face. We'll start with his eye. And we're going to draw a big circle, and then a littler circle and a littler circle. We're going to shade that in. You can do it with pencil, marker, whatever you want. There's no rules for this. Just drawing along with Jen. Then there's like this weird thing right here. I believe it's their ear. No, they have like a hole in their ear, and it's this interesting flap. He has a little nose hole right here, and then I like to give him a little face. My iguana's smiling because my iguana that I had when I was a kid was very happy. Now for my favorite part, the spikes. I'm going to start drawing some spikes all down the back of our iguana. These are just kind of like pointy triangles that get smaller and smaller and smaller as they work their way down the back. Those are cool. All right, next step, we're gonna draw the tail. So we're gonna swoosh it over here, and then we're gonna go back up kind of like that. He's looking pretty good. Now we're gonna draw the back leg. We're gonna draw a curved line, and then we're gonna add on his toes. I like to add little spikes on his toes because I know they have sharp nails. This line is actually going to curve in front of the toes, so it looks like a little bit of overlapping. Okay, next step, we're going to draw his belly, which is just a curved line from his back foot, and it's going to connect us to his front foot. Now we're going to draw a diagonal line, and then down to connect, and a diagonal line, and down to connect. And then we're going to draw the rest of his spikes. I'll probably make that connect right there. We're going to give him some spiky toes. Make him look really, really cool. I feel like I could have made this line a little bit better, so we'll just improvise with some shading. Okay. Now I'm going to add a little bit of texture lines. My iguana had lines all over his tail, so I'm just going to draw some little stripey lines. I'm also going to do some little circles, because if you zoom in on an iguana, they have tons of tiny little circles of texture all over their body. So instead of drawing every single one of those, I just draw a few here and there, and it gives you the feeling of all that texture, all those scales, lots of tiny little scales everywhere. Little scales. Okay, now when you are done drawing your iguana, there are things you can do. Like sometimes I like to put my iguana on my branch, like he's sitting on a branch. Yeah, taking a little nap out in the wild. You could add trees and things behind your iguana, like plants. I don't know if you remember in kindergarten we did a lot of jungle plants, things like the banana leaf, which has lots of circles on it. the fern with the bubbles. If you draw this stuff all around your iguana, it's gonna make him look like he's in the wilderness, in the rainforest where he lives. You can just do simple plants, which are triangle shapes with lines through them. You can do some overlapping where there's one plant in front of another. You can do like some grasses where you draw two shapes, one inside each other. Just kind of fill the spaces all around your iguana. That looks really good. Now, if you would like to add some color, that's completely up to you. You could use markers, colored pencils, oil pastels. I think I would normally like to use colored pencils, but I don't know what I did with mine. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of oil pastel. So my iguana is a green iguana, obviously, so I'm gonna make him a beautiful green. I'm gonna do a little bit of a pattern on his tail because that's what my iguana look like. We're gonna do like a light green and a dark green. So that way his texture and his colors and patterns will really show up. And like I said, you do not have to color yours. You could just do a simple pencil drawing and upload it on Seesaw and show it to me. And that would be lovely. All right, I'm just gonna continue to color. Oh, you know you're doing a good job coloring when you break your oil pastel. Happens a lot. Now when you're drawing your jungle plants, you usually just use all different kinds of greens, browns. There's like a brownish yellow that's really nice to use. If you just think back to that kindergarten lesson that we did on tigers and Rousseau, we learned a little bit about this. And if you weren't here in kindergarten, well, you can just see how I'm doing it now. Oh, coloring is so much fun. I love to color. It makes me happy. I hope these videos are bringing you joy wherever you guys are today, at home, in your home learning. Another thing you can do to make your iguana look really cool is some blending of different colors. So I could take that green again and do a little bit of blending so he's not just one color. You could do this with colored pencils too. It's a little harder with marker, but you could do it with marker too. You have more choices when it comes to colored pencils. I think this part is usually kind of like a reddish orange. I'm gonna make it bright red on mine. And then I'm gonna make his spikes dark green spikes. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, usually when we do this project in the classroom, we use colored pencils. And it's really, really fun. We do a lot of blending. So yeah, I can put some of this on my iguana too, give him some more blending. Like this little skin under here is probably a little darker, older skin. Okay, that's pretty good. And I could use a little brown for my tree branch. And again, I'll probably use more than one brown because I love blending. Blending is fun. Let's see, what should I name my iguana? I think I'm gonna name him Fred. Hello, Fred. Fred, my iguana. What would you name your iguana if you had one? Fredley. I'd call him Sir Fredley of Iguana Town. Fred. I'm going to take another brown and do a little blending into the brown I already had. Because rarely, if you look at things in the real world, they're not ever just one color, hardly ever. It's usually lots of different colors. So when you blend and use more than one color, it adds variety, makes your art more interesting, and it looks more realistic. Super cool. And we're gonna color some of these plants. Let's see, I think I'm gonna use like a nice brownish green. This is what I'm talking about. This is actually called yellow ochre, but I like to call it brownish green. And we can color our plants. And again, use a variety of greens on your plants. The more variety you have in your art, the better it looks. Okay. I think it's coming out pretty good. And get some pretty grassy green. Remember what I call this green? I call it Kermit green. Hi-ho, Kermit the Frog here. It's not easy being a secondary color. That looks really nice. With your fern, you can really do anything you want with it. You can use brown, you can use yellow. I think I'm gonna use this yellow. I'm just gonna color the bubbles, the fern bubbly leaves. It's looking really, really good. Sorry I'm going so fast. I just wanna not take up too much of your time here. Remember that you can pause the video at any time. I'm gonna color half of these leaves. One color, and then I'm gonna color the other half a different color, and it's gonna look so cool. I'm gonna smear that Kermit green right into the other greens, and it's looking really, really good. For the background, you could use more jungle colors to make it look like the jungle is sort of blurring behind him, or you could maybe use like blues to look like the sky or the ocean. It's really up to you. That's pretty much it. I hope you guys had a great time. I had a blast spending time with you guys. Sorry you can only see my hands, but I'm here and I love making art with you guys, and I'll have another video for you next week.